think?
So one question I want to ask, and I think it's worth kind of assess the temperature in the room, right? Um, Describe for me either one word or one phrase what your board search has been, what your process has been like, right? In terms of board search, and feel free to say like, "Hey, haven't started yet," but can you just quickly chat in? What have you done about board search, or what the process has been like?
Or even how you feel about it,
Yes.
right? It could be any word or phrase that describes your experience or your feelings about your board experience so far. Daunting, don't know where to start, have not started, passive, um, can always be improved. Excellent. I see networking here. One prospect.
Oh,
That's a high risk funnel, Cecile. Have not started, looking for the right opportunity. Amazing. Um, okay. Well, this is I think if you take a look in the chat, you can see we all have different experiences. When Kelly and I were brainstorming what would be the most useful and helpful for the women in this session, we both were talking about how in our experience, there are a lot of programs out there, a lot of expensive programs, right? About board readiness, right? It's like the mini MBA program that gets you ready to be on a board. And so Kelly and I were like, enough of this board readiness. There are women like us, women who we know who are board ready. And the real issue is your professional identity, is your personal brand, are you communicating and reinforcing with your network and with the network of people that are making decisions about who's on boards? Do they know that you're board ready? So that is where we want to focus. This is not going to be a mini MBA program or a board readiness webinar. We're here to talk to help you brand yourself as board ready. So in the next hour, or I should say 55 minutes, we're going to go through three common myths that so Kelly's done a lot of coaching on board readiness, right? So three common myths that she sees in her experience about people who are at various stages in terms of being board ready and then branding themselves as board ready. And then I'm going to take you through a process, a 5-step process that Kelly and I have pulled together that I hope will reduce some of your anxiety or your lack of confidence that we read a little bit about here in the chat in terms of what should I be doing and when. So it's like a 5-step sequence. And then Kelly is going to double down and share some insights on the significance of networking. I know we all know this, but she's going to share some perspectives on that. And then we have an offer for you that we want to just share with you. And then we want to open it up both Kelly and I. One of our favorite things, maybe even my favorite thing about coaching is the open Q&A. I can't wait to hear what questions that you have. Along the way, if you have specific questions related to the content, we do have some slides. It's not going to be death by PowerPoint, but we do have some slides. If you have any questions along the way, please do put them in the chat, because when we do the open Q&A, we're going to start there. And then we hope to answer, the top priority is going to be answering the questions of the people that are here. Okay, sound good? So I'm going to turn the slides on. I'm going to share my screen. I hope my calendar and my email don't, oh, there we go. That's good. All right, here we are. All right, Kelly, you're on.
All right. So about the various myths, right? What I'm showing here, and I think it's been somewhat reflected too in why I asked the phrase or the word to reflect what a board search journey is like. It's very much a zigzag. And actually, this came from an NACD, it's the National Association of Corporate Directors, podcast about how to get on a board. So starting with, obviously, it is very much a culture fit conversation, right? There's also making sure you have the bandwidth, right? Your calendar, your bandwidth. Most of you have a day job, making sure your bandwidth is there. And from my experience, what I've seen is it can be anywhere from a 3 months to a year-long process. So it's definitely multi-stages, a lot of different people to interview. There's also search firms involved if you're involved in a bigger search where these recruiters are working with you. And again, not to beat the networking thing to death, it's definitely about how to get into the network of these board searches, searchers, and the non-gov committees. And I think the biggest aha for many of my coachees and people that I work with is that you have to be invited to the dance. This is an invitation only. It's not linear in how we used to look for jobs. It's very much you have to be on the short list of people, right? To be brought into interview with the non-gov committee, to be a friend of somebody on the board, to be already on the radar of the recruiters. So that's all going to be part of that. So the big aha here is that, can you advance that? Is that, you have, back to the other one, the light bulb. Yeah, the aha is you have to be invited, right? So that's kind of the number one sort of light bulb moment with a lot of the coaches that I work with. The second myth is this is actually Sukhinder Cassidy Singh, and she started this group called the Board List, which is now acquired, to connect women to male sponsors and those board search committees, right? But then time and time again, I've heard this from recruiters and also those committees alike. They always say, "Oh, we don't have enough women," right? And I can say that to you right now. That's patently false. There's more than enough women that are qualified to sit on boards of all sizes, big and small. And so this issue of not having women represented in those boards and those key decision making rooms, it's not a pipeline problem in that, oh, there are not enough senior women coming through the pipeline. It really is a network problem, because back to what I said, usually these board searches are invitation only, and because it's not transparent and most of those networks tend to be closed, right? Board members talk to other board members. They're not casting a wide net the way they do with job searches. They're not trying to, boil the ocean to find the right one person. They really are just kind of using their closed networks to find these specialized skills, right? So, Andrea, can you just again highlight the aha there? The aha here is it really is a network problem, right? So in the second half, I'm going to get into how to break into some of these networks, but it really is important for us to see it not as a, like I said, pipeline problem. There are more than enough qualified women, but it really is about breaking into those networks. Okay, and my third myth that I want to cover with you guys. First, let's look at the one on the left. So typically, a lot of the people that come to me about, oh, I'm ready to serve on a board, they think that there's only one type, which is this top one, the public boards, right? So these public boards tend to be bigger sizes in terms of the board members. Could be anywhere from 8 to 11 to 13, I've even seen. And then the 10 years long too, right? It's 8.5 years. So again, those of you with your day jobs, do you really have that bandwidth to be dedicated to that one firm for 8+ years, right? So that's already, something to consider. And also, I will say this, most people don't come out of the gate getting a public board seat, right? You're just not going to come right out of the gate and get onto Microsoft or get onto Visa, right? There's kind of a multi-step process. So secondarily, well, then what are some of the other boards I should look at? Well, there's definitely the private boards, which are private companies, right? They're not listed on these exchanges. And there's also the private equity boards. So both of these are similar in that the terms are more 3 to 6 years. The size can also vary. I've seen 4. I myself sat on a 4-person mutual fund board. And then some of them could be as big as the public board sizes. And then the third question I usually get is, well, okay, other than private equity or public board, private boards and PE boards or VC boards, What about the nonprofits? Well, they are good kind of baby steps in terms of getting you there. But what I would say is for any nonprofit boards you want to serve, again, be sure your bandwidth is there. Usually there's a fundraising requirement you actually have to pay into serving on that board. And then also the networking piece, right? Some nonprofits have really the who's who's of your industry. And so those are very good boards to be on. And the fifth one I want to mention, which I think tends to get lost in all these conversations, are those advisory boards. So the advisory boards don't have, so this is what you see on the right, they don't have fiduciary responsibilities, and they can be very ad hoc or pop up in how quickly they come to be. So I've seen overseas company like Novo Nordisk will put together a digital transformation board in terms of helping with their pharma operation. And then in the US, a lot of the life science boards have the scientific advisory boards, right? So those kind of boards are not the same as a regular BOD. So again, you'll see the difference there in the chart. So again, the aha here is you're not trying to limit yourself in terms of what you learn, right? So a nonprofit can give you governance experience. A private board can give you governance experience. An advisory board can also get you in front of a board. And so what I would say here is you can start right where you are, which is to get in front of the boards at the company you serve on. So whether that is presentation to the board or, you know, finding out who the board members are and maybe getting introductions from your C-suite if you're not on the C-suite already. And so this is where you can kind of make those steps, right? Up to these big public boards is by starting where you are. You don't always have to start right at these big public boards. And you can look at advisory boards, private equity boards, PE boards, private boards, PE boards, VC boards, and also these nonprofits that tend to have, like I said, a who's who of your industry. That would be a great place to start. So that's where I am with the 3 myths. And let me bring up Andrea to talk more about how to bring yourself more brand offers or board offers.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. So when we were talking, by the way, I want to say Kelly and I, but mostly Kelly, frankly, is very well aware of the many myths. There are more myths. She's got this big smile on her face right now because there were other myths that she could have mentioned that they might come up when we do the open Q&A. But I think it's a great first step, right? To start learning what these common myths are and then what the reality is. So that's an excellent foundation for us to start. Now we want to share with you a process. This is a sequence that Kelly and I have pulled together that we hope will help you feel a little bit more knowledgeable and confident about what you should be doing and when in terms of attracting board offers. So step 1 is my favorite thing. It is establishing your professional identity or your personal brand. So any of you that know me from my podcast and my coaching, you probably know that this is my favorite topic. And it's not about, turning you into a social media influencer or monetizing your brand, although you could do either of those things. But this is about taking the time to really identify what your unique value is. And this is not just like anywhere. This is your unique professional identity, and it's in the context of becoming a board member on whatever kind of board that you want from the ones that Kelly described. So this is about establishing, it's not like, hello, I'm board ready. No. Specifically, what are your strengths and passions and your experience? Where can you establish credibility? This is about specifically identifying and putting words around your industry expertise, your functional expertise, your sector expertise, and also softer things, right? Like your leadership style, your values, your personality. We talk about this list of criteria that we have for what should be part of our personal brand. And it's PUR. We're thinking about in a very disciplined and strategic way, identifying the factors that we want to have associated with us that are positive, unique, and relevant, right? We're not talking about our weaknesses. We're talking about our strengths. It's positive, things that we can identify, we can raise our hand like, yes, I have a unique expertise in this area, and relevant. So relevant to being on boards. If the things that you're thinking about talking about in your networking meetings, on your board bio, on your board CV, and even on LinkedIn, you're wondering whether to include it or not, just put it through that filter of positive, unique, and relevant. So that's step one, is really taking the time to be introspective, okay, and identifying your unique, high value professional identity. Step two is thinking now about your purpose. So your purpose for being on a board. And this is where it can really help if you are really honest with yourself. It is absolutely fair to say, I want to go on boards to make money. It is also fair to say, I want to go on boards to learn or for my own personal growth. Like I'm retired from my corporate job, but I want to keep growing and learning. That's absolutely fair. You might want to join a board because you are gainfully employed and your employer has an expectation or your industry has an expectation of board service. So you want to establish credibility and status. Also fair. You may want to join a board because you want to contribute, you want to give back to society, and it's about social responsibility. You may want to go on a board to expand your network. Maybe you have something that you're selling, right? And being on a board and meeting these high-powered, high-status people is going to help you accomplish your goals. Also fair. You may want to go on a board because you want to contribute to or build your legacy, right? So we've got all of these potential reasons why you want to be on a board. So there's the learning and personal growth, there's establishing credibility and status, there's earning compensation, there's contributing, giving back, social responsibility, there's expanding your network, there's building legacy. So I'm guessing for most of you, and maybe even for all of you, you could probably put check marks in front of a few of these. And the idea here is to be as specific and focused as you can about what your purpose is. Once you've done this thinking about your professional identity or your personal brand and your personal purpose for seeking a board position, that's when it's time to go to step three, which is your plot line. This is about, as a communication coach, I help my clients create a narrative. So there are, this is what my thing that I love to think about and say is, there are a million ways to tell the same story. In fact, there are a million ways to tell the same story in a way that is true. So why not tell the story in a way that serves you? So step three, you take what your strengths are, what your value would be to a board, and what your purpose is, right? And then you start to create this core messaging or this narrative. And then you establish this plot line or this narrative on your board bio, on your board CV, on your LinkedIn profile, in your self-introduction, with all of the networking that you're doing. So this is really plot line or your narrative. Okay. Then you move to step four, which is when you start promoting yourself. So this is, you can think of it as marketing yourself. You can think of this as the networking. So this can be as kind of general as just making a promise to yourself that you are going to go out of your way to attend networking events that are online and in person, and you're going to say yes to every invitation that you get. You're going to, when you go to events like the one that you're in, literally, excuse me, literally right now, putting your LinkedIn profile in the chat and encouraging other people to connect with you. Or you can look at people's names that are here, right? And connect with them and say, hey, I'm looking to be on boards. Where do you live, right? So promoting yourself, connecting, of course, sharing your plot line with them. That's why we have this in the sequence. This is about networking and outreach. Okay, and then the final P is with asterisks, you get your position. I love this image of this woman. She looks like she's like opening the window from her penthouse suite and she's looking out at the world and she's like, I got this. I got my board position. So I wanted to mention one thing, which is when you are board ready and you are starting to seek board offers, you're branding yourself to attract board offers. You're probably going to be doing all of 1 through 4, right? But it also helps to think of it in terms of a sequence. You're going to have the most success. You can't do everything at once. So yes, you are going to continue to promote yourself and you are going to say yes, but you really got to make sure that you have your personal brand or your professional identity nailed, and you've thought about your purpose, and you've taken the time to create your plot line or your narrative, right? So this is a sequence that we recommend that will lead you to success in terms of your position. And now Kelly is going to focus on step 4, which is the promoting or the networking.
Right. So here's the question, right? That probably why you're all here. How do I enhance my visibility to the board community? And first, I want to kind of handle the typical, inner critic comment that I hear, like, but personal branding is icky, or I don't want to be thumping my chest. I don't want to be one of those self promoters that really turn people off, right? So, like, as a coach, let me kind of help you reframe that, because women, we're needed in all kinds of rooms where the decisions are happening, right? I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg has famously said this, that women are needed where all the decisions are made. And where they get made, they're on boards, right? These decisions are made on boards of all sizes and communities and big companies, and probably at the highest level, like the White House. So we need to do this work in the service of the people we want to impact, right? So be that patients, be that consumers, be that underrepresented communities. These are the people, right, that really can help us align our intentions to, right? We need to be in those rooms to make those decisions such that we can really impact our communities, our organizations, our country, even, because Andrea and I are from the North America Alliance, right? We as women are really good at bringing community together. And what better way to do that than right here, right? We're doing that this week, the International Women's Day. I can't think of a better place to be than be with this group of high achieving women such as yourselves. So again, this is my mantra to you, right? Do this for the people that you care about, right? Do this for the people that you want to impact. So let's go to the next slide. So my networking thing is these 4 steps, right? First, you need to become your own public relations agent. And again, I don't mean becoming one of these Hollywood agents that are knocking down doors and, striking deals. It could be as simple as, like I said, get in front of your own board. It could be, asking to be on a panel, right, where you're part of the organization committee. It could be just getting out in front of, like I said, the audience you want to impact. So think of those situations where you could be out in front of audiences where these board members and C-suite and recruiters are going to be, right? So become your own PR agent in terms of getting out in front of the people that could see you present and share your thought leadership and know about what you do. And Andrea obviously talked about how even elevator pitches, just like what I said, the circumstance, of how we met in a bathroom, you need to be ready with your elevator pitch anywhere, right? Like, if I came across like a stalker to her, we wouldn't be here today. But if I came across as somebody who's reliable, right, authentic, then you're gonna get that next conversation. So again, be at the ready, right? Be at the ready to, when you're in the room or when you're about to be, this is why elevator pitches are called elevator pitches. When you're in the elevator with those key decision makers, be ready to pitch what you do to them.
Can
Per
I can I interject just, Kelly, and say one thing? So I love this point about becoming your own PR agent. And sometimes I know from the especially workshops that I do that a lot of women feel very apprehensive about tooting their own horn, or I hear this like self-promotion. I'm gonna end up sounding arrogant. Um, so so first of all, you must speak for your work. You must speak for your board readiness, because no one is going to speak. Your work doesn't speak for itself, and no one else is going to say that person, right? So you have to be, I love this, your own PR agent. The other thing that I wanted to say though is remember that this is step 3 in our sequence. If you've done the work to identify your professional identity, your personal brand, that means you've done the work to identify your unique strengths and passions. And this becomes the value that you're offering. So you're not saying, I'm good at everything, bring me on your board. You're saying, are you looking for someone, say you're an HR executive, are you looking for someone with, nominations and governance experience, or with this because I've had this experience, this is exactly the kind of board that I'm looking for. So you do the work from step 1, and it makes step 3 so much easier. I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. And really, it does, right? I'll get to why these steps are somewhat sequential. And then, other than becoming your own agent, you also have to plant the flag, because I've seen this time and time again from my Boardroom Ready community. Most of the time, when the network of your own know about the fact you want to be on a board, is when they actually announce, "Oh, I've joined Boardroom Ready," or "I finished the Boardroom Ready program." Because most of these CEOs and even board recruiters like, "Oh my gosh, Patricia, I never knew you wanted to be on a board," right? So you have to, just like any store, with the open sign, you also need to do the same, right? Plant the flag of, I'm ready to sit on a board, and let me tell you how, right? So plant the flag and let people know you're ready to do this. And then again, we'll get into, when we talk about networking, how to do that in a more kind of strategic way. And then leveraging LinkedIn is the next one, right? Because again, social media is a multiplier, right? So other than me calling up all my friends, you can use social media such as LinkedIn to let people know, like I said, the planting the flag piece, but also to share your thought leadership and to also share certifications, right? I've done the board readiness program. I've done this kind of project, right? I'm ready to do this. So that's where you can leverage LinkedIn to really help kind of amplify that message. And then my last one is about customizing your bio and not just send out general one. And so this is probably one of those myths I could have used in the earlier part. A lot of my prospects and clients come to me saying, "Oh, just fix my bio and then I'm ready to go." And I'm going to say, that's actually not as something that you should do first, because guess what? These days, the bios, people are inundated with them, right? Even with AI, there are so many bios and things that come into people's inboxes, right? Whereas if my close friend who is on the board committee calls me up and say, "Hey, I just met with Andrea or Patricia or Winnie. They'd be terrific because they're working on exactly the thing that you were telling me about last week," right? So I do think the customized bio is useful as part of all of this, but it is not step 1, right? You start with the agency, owning your agency. You start with knowing what you're about, as Andrea said, and then planting the flag, getting the message out on LinkedIn, and then you could work on these customized bios. Okay, next. So those of you, I know a lot of the audience are from Canada. So in the American Revolutionary War, there's a famous person named Paul Revere. So why are we talking about him? Like, why does he matter, right? So Paul Revere had warned about the British invasion way back in the battles of Lexington and Concord. So if you've been to Boston, Paul Revere rode from the northern route, right? Getting through Medford and then out through Lexington to warn people about the British coming. But did you know that night that he's so famous for, there were 2 other riders. It was actually William Dawes and also a Dr. Samuel Prescott. And they also rode about the same distance, warned about the same number of people. So why is it that, we only know about Paul Revere? Like, is it just because he has a catchy name or had a famous song? So without further ado, next one. um, it's his network, right? Because the Samuel Prescotts and the William Dawes, they have these closed networks that you see on the right, because all the people they want, let's say it was 10 people, they already knew each other. So that's only 10 people that got the message, right? But the Paul Revere's And this person with the strategic network that you see on the left-hand side has what we call the open network. So when Paul Revere won 10 person, those people told another 10 people. So you can see how that's how Paul Revere went viral, right? His message got out quickly and got out to the right people. And that's the same idea about networking that we're talking about here. You need to let those important influencers and decision makers know about you such that they can let other people know about what you do, right? And so most of us from an operator role, we have what's typically on the right, this operation network, where everybody already know each other, right? If you've been in the same industry or the same company, everybody knows each other. So even if you activate that network, that closed network, your message is not going to get out very far. And this is why, again, the key to networking is to build these strategic networking connections at these, influencers, with these board recruiters, with these people that sit on multiple boards, such that they can get the word out about the fact that you are board ready. Okay, so before the next slide. So I know we've thrown a lot at you, right? We talked about the zigzag path. We talked about the 5 Ps that Andrea just talked about. And then I just talked about the 4 different types of networking, right? There's a lot of things to keep track of. So I'm sure you're saying to yourself, where do I start, right? Where do I go with this? So let me bring up Andrea to help answer that.
Can I just go back? I want to add one other thing about this as you were saying this, Kelly, about the networking. I think this advice that Kelly has for seeking a open network is actually critical for more than just your seeking board positions, right? So we know from famous sociologist Mark Granovetter in 1973, he wrote this paper about how it is a friend of your friend that's going to get you the job. So generally, like, what do you do with this? So you see these, like, I think these are very cool network diagrams. So you're seeking the connections with people who have connections that are different from the people that you're already connected with, right? That's the idea there. What does that really mean? That means to do something that I did about 5 years ago. I looked at my LinkedIn profile and I went through my contacts, just scrolled, and I was like thinking about where I know this person from, where I know this person from. And I was like, oh my goodness, everybody in my network is either marketing faculty or a podcaster. This is not a diverse network. So one of the things that you can do right now for yourself, no matter what, is seek diversity in your network. You're looking for young and old, you're looking for inside and outside your firm, inside and outside of your industry. The more diverse your network is, the more open it's going to end up being, right? That's just like makes rational sense. It's actually like almost mathematical if you think about what the network will look like. Okay. So this is a lot. This is a lot. And as you can probably tell, Kelly and I could have gone into a lot more detail on all of the things that we shared and more. So what we've done is we've pulled together, starting next month in April, a boardroom branding boot camp for women only. For women only. There is something magical when there's only women in the room. Kelly and I both agree on this. If you want to learn more, just go to coachkellyhuang.com/April 2025. It's a 1-month boot camp. You'll be able to see all the details there. But just really quickly, what you'll learn in this boot camp is there are important differences, including some of the myths that Kelly already covered, but some other ones as well, between what you do when you're searching for, a corporate job versus a board search. We're going to talk about how to optimize your board resume and your LinkedIn profile and your board bio, how to create and articulate your unique personal board brand, we're going to call it. Strategies for networking. We've already shared some of that, but we'll get into some nitty gritty on strategically and in a disciplined way networking with the governance committee, because it doesn't matter if you're, talking to your podcasting friends, Andrea. It's about getting in with the governance community. And we're also going to share a really valuable board recruiting checklist. So you can use this to identify what the low-hanging fruit is for you, and again, a sequence of the steps for you to go through. So what's included, what you get is there will be over the course of the month 4 live coaching sessions. And we talked about this. This is the first time we're doing this. Both of us are going to be there for all of the live coaching sessions. You also get worksheets and resources. You're going to have access to a private bootcamp only virtual community. So we're like starting on day one, all of the women that are in this bootcamp are going to be admitted into a virtual community where you can ask questions. And Kelly and I will be in the virtual community as well. We're going to be asking questions, sharing documents like, what do you think of this? Do you think my whatever board bio should be improved? Supporting each other, asking questions. And of course, you're going to get a boardroom branding certificate of completion, by the way, which you can post on LinkedIn, and then you're signaling to everyone, guess what, everyone, I'm board ready. Okay. So you're probably wondering the price. The price is $950, and we have an offer right now. You can save $100 if you go to coachkellyhuang.com/April 2025 between now and Friday the 14th, next Friday at midnight. The price is $850. Okay. And so it's $100 off starting on Saturday the 15th until the end of March. The price will be $950. You can also, if you have any questions about the boot camp, or you can't find the link or whatever, please just email either one or both of us. All right. We would love to have you join us at this boot camp. You can probably tell we're very excited when we are in rooms full of ambitious, smart women like all of you. And we would love to help you attract board offers, just to put it out there. And between Kelly and I, with my executive communication coaching and her board service coaching, we think that we've really got some synergies here where we can help get some of you some board offers. So we would love it if you joined us. And now we'd like to open it up for questions about the boot camp, but of course, any questions that you have about attracting board offers. Let's open it up to questions. I'm going to look in the.
Yeah, I see one from Patricia. So when is a board bio versus board CV appropriate? Usually, Patricia, I see people put together a portfolio actually. So if it's just a quick, hey, do you know of anyone looking for this type of background? I would send a board bio. But when it comes to searches, you do have to actually provide a whole litany of documents. And again, in our bootcamp, we'll get into, how to kind of position it better and how to make it really concise and clean and, really targeted towards the company you're going for. So yeah, but the initial, I would say it's just a quick, concise one page that you can hand out to, again, the various people that you know.
One of the things that we recommend is that and this may seem obvious, but a lot of people, it's not until it actually happens to them that they realize this. You have a quote unquote generic board bio and board CV ready. And these documents you would share with people if you're going on, general networking meetings. But once you have a specific board position that you're targeting, customization is the name of the game, right? You want to customize it. It seems obvious, but yeah, it's worth noting, I think.
And that is usually the work that I've done with clients, to be really, right, really specific about here's what the board's looking for, and here's where I specifically have that skill, right, to add onto your board.
So I have a question for you, Kelly. So is it true that even for board positions that the CVs and the board bios are being put into like an AI?
The ATS, yeah, applicant tracking.
ATS does matter.
It can be. And so what I've seen is if the recruiters are involved, they will come up with actually a document of their own by combing through all your different profiles. So there's Patricia, right? There's Winnie, there's Andrea. And so the recruiter will actually take all of your documents and your LinkedIn and any of the thing that you've done, right, on Google that's searchable, that's available out there. And then they put together a profile to hand over to the board search committees. But the smaller board searches, then it depends, right? So it could be that you first send out that board bio just to get them a quick look. And I would say your goal should be always to get it into a human's hand.
Mhm.
Your goal, all of you here, get it into a human's hand. Should be always the goal, because then they're more likely to read it and right and then know who to pass it on to. If it just goes into a deep dark black hole of applicant tracking, you don't know who's going to look at it.
Mhm. So there's a question in the chat from Irene. What's the participant capacity for your boot camp program? So we talked about this, and here's our plan. We both believe from our own experience that the learnings can be a lot more powerful. So having more than five or three to five is a great thing because you can learn from more people, right? But then there's a cap. It's almost like the size of your kid's classroom. You want it to be more than 15, right? Because if it's less, it's a little too cozy. But there's a cap. We want to make sure that you get individualized attention. So what Coach Kelly and I talked about is if we can make it 16 people, so it's a nice 4x4 on our Zoom screen, that's enough that you're gonna benefit from the small group, but it's small enough that you're gonna get individualized attention. If we end up getting more than that, we're just gonna have another cohort. So we would have like a parallel cohort.
And
Uh,
also, we're both committed to attend all of the session. So again, it won't be just one of us or an avatar. We're both going to be available on all of these sessions. So that's our commitment to you, right? Because again, you want to get in front of a person. So we're going to be personalizing our attention towards you.
so this is a total aside, a little digression, but do all of you know? I just read this something online about how to identify whether you're talking to a real human or an AI bot. Do you know what to ask them to do? Ask them to put their hand in front of their face. If it's an AI bot, it won't work. The image will not work. And I saw a video of where it was someone was doing an interview, an online interview, and they said, "Can you put your hand in front of your face?" And they were like, "No, I can't. You've got 10 seconds, and then we're ending the interview. If you can't put your hand in front of your face, okay, we're done. Thank you." So this is really me.
Yes, I'm here too.
Okay.
Good question, Irene.
Nushin has a question. Can you share an example of a board portfolio? So Kelly, what are the elements of a board
Yeah,
portfolio?
so like I said, definitely your board bio, your CV, any of the papers you've written, like I said, right? Any of your speaking engagement, you should provide links to those. What else have I seen? Uh, Interviews you've given, just like you said. So it's kind of like combination of what's out there in public and also like your thought leadership, right? Things that you've done that you're known for. So it is kind of pretty comprehensive, has all of kind of from birth to, to the day you apply, like all of the kind of highest achievement. And like I said, thought leadership, board facing interactions you've had. And let me just backtrack a little bit. Those board bios, they're not like your executive bios. It actually should be talking specifically about how you've been in front of a board, leading a board, talking about governance. So you're not talking about your executive track record because that's just table stakes. But to be in the boardroom, that's where your board bio is focusing the search committee's attention. Like, here's where I've been in front of the board. Here are all my experiences. And I know this is why it's hard for the first time board members to come up with all of that. And that's why I think having some private board experiences, having some advisory board experiences, talking to your current company's board about presenting in front of them, that's all going to help you build up, right? That board bio. And Nushin,
Excellent.
just one more thing. I've seen more and more. Some of my coachees are actually putting together their own website. So that way it's all there. You're in control of it. So, right, all your papers, all your CV, all of, whatever you've done is all in that website. And that just makes it easier. Like, hey, you want to know about me? Go to my website.
Excellent. Okay, we have a question here from Magali. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm lucky enough. I just read this. I'm so happy for you. This sounds exciting. to sit on 2 boards, not-for-profit boards, and I'm in the process of joining the board of a private company on the recommendation of 2 directors. Amazing. And she said, I feel like an imposter because the other board directors are senior executives. What advice do you have for overcoming this? Okay. Okay.
But Gally, I'm going to have you go off mic a bit in a little bit, but let me just kind of address some of this head on. So back to what I said about that inner critic, right? When I said, how should I increase my visibility? And your, inner voice saying, personal branding, icky, I don't want to be, chest thumping. I don't, I'm not sure I'm ready. So let me address that upfront. It is a mindset, right? There's actually a being in the boardroom mindset versus being an operator mindset. So yes, when you're an operator, you're affecting change, right? Your hands, roll up the sleeves, doing all of that. But as a board, you're more in that advisory capacity. And which one of us can't give advice? We all know how to give advice, right? So just in that capacity, I already know you're qualified because we can all give advice, right? Especially if you've been an operator for a long time in your company, right? And then secondarily, boards we're at a kind of tipping point in terms of a lot of board members are too old. And also even technology wise, their knowledge is no longer applicable to what's happening today, right? With AI, with the digital transformation. So that also is going to help. I know the DEI headwind is there, but just even demographically, that is definitely the case. We need new voices. We need women's voices. We need underrepresented voices in those boardrooms. So I can just tell you that right now, like you deserve to be in those boardrooms because of what you bring. So Magali, can I have you go off, Mike, and just, like what are those inner critics telling you? You're on, unmute yourself if you can. Can I unmute her? Oh, hold on a sec.
Have we muted her?
Yeah, I can unmute her. Did that
There
do
we
it?
go.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kelly Andrea, for the podcast. It's just amazing. And yes, about my situation, it's because, you know, the board where I'm talking, the process where I am, it's really important for me because it's directly with all the expertise that I bring. I'm on the transportation industry, and on this board, it's really, I'm sorry for that, old, white male, and no woman on the room, and they want to bring me on this position. So, and for me, it's just incredible having these opportunities. But at the same time, I feel excited. I know that I have the knowledge, and that's why they want me on board.
Yeah.
You know what? It's more the reaction of people around me saying, but are you really sure you can do it? So in the end, I say, yes, I can. But, I have all that in my mind. So I do really want to. And, because of women, we have this imposter syndrome. I work a lot on it, but still a bit there. So, but with your advice and all I learned today, I feel more comfortable. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and back to the intention alignment piece, right? Just think of
Yeah.
how those companies and communities are gonna benefit by having you in the room because you bring a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Because women and men both use transportations, right?
Yes.
So we need to have a say. So on that point, can I answer? I think Irene had a DEI question too. And do you want to go off mute?
Before we do that, can I just add one thing for Magali? Recently, I was coaching. I want to tell a story because I think it's very related to the position that you're in, where you're being invited into a group and you feel like you're unqualified. And maybe it is a little bit rational, actually, that you're feeling like this is the first time I've been on a for-profit board, right? So here's the thing. They brought you on for a reason. It's not just, by the way, to get that check mark because they need a woman, right? They're getting their quota. There is a reason that you're there. And I was coaching this woman whose background, her expertise is customer experience, CX, right? She's working for a big bank. They brought her into the real estate department and they were doing this big, they were, creating this big meeting space. It was amazing. And she said to me, Andrea, my confidence is in the toilet. I have huge imposter syndrome. Like, why am I doing this? Yeah, I got a big promotion. I'm now an SVP, but I don't know what to say in meetings. And I said to her, Laura, why do you think they promoted you and brought you in? And she was like, um, well, because of my CX experience. I said, exactly.
Okay.
So you need to raise your hand and say, based on my expertise in whatever it is, here's my input. And by the way, and when I think about that story, I did the same thing. I was on the board of a hospital and there were these guys, yes, guys in the corner having this conversation about whatever it was. And I remember thinking consciously, oh my goodness, I don't belong here. What am I doing? I don't know anything about hospitals, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, no, Andrea, you have branding and strategy expertise. You're teaching at, you know, at an MBA program. That's why you're here. And I remember I raised my hand and I said, based on my experience in branding and strategy, I have something to add here that I think might be relevant and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I remember the chairs turning in, being like, oh, that's true. And it's like I could read their thought bubbles. They were like, if she wasn't here, that wouldn't have come up, right? So Magali, there's a reason you're there. And so my suggestion is use this prompt based on my experience or based on my expertise. Here, like I don't know everything, but here's what I do know. And then you'll be reinforcing what your value is. And it will be valuable.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Magali,
very
can I
much.
just ask, having a community of women behind you is so amazing. It's like getting supercharged right here in the chat.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
I see
Thanks to
it
all.
already. Right? It's like a battery boost. Okay, Irene, about the DEI, yes. In California, we have that board diversity rule that was overturned, and then NASDAQ's had theirs overturned, and then ISS had theirs overturned. So I do think you're seeing a stall, right? It had been accelerating, and now there's a stall. But I do think this is why we're all talking here, because the work doesn't stop. And also, by the way, the anti-discrimination laws are still in place, right? They can't outright discriminate. And also, as we all know, with innovation, the more diverse perspectives you have in a room, and like I said, with disruption coming, you need that diverse voice more than ever, right? So it's not about the feel-good DEI, but it is more about like the business part of why you need diverse voices in the boardroom, because we need women like Magali to advocate for women in transportation. Irene, we need you to advocate for your sector. Patricia, we need you to advocate in the life sciences. We're all needed in those rooms where things happen, because otherwise, what are we left with?
Mhm. And this is also another reason why doubling down on being crystal clear about your unique differentiator, your unique value that you provide, articulating your value proposition, I guess you could say, right? In a way that's really clear, where the people that are making the decisions about who's joining the boards are thinking, you know, not only are we getting this check mark because she's a woman, but actually it's this thing that's going to help us run our board more effectively. So you're not leading with the, yeah, I wear a skirt. You're leading with the, here's, okay, I made someone laugh. You're leading with the value proposition that you provide, the focused value proposition.
Any other questions?
Now's your chance, free coaching.
Exactly.
No? Okay. Well, it is 2 minutes to where I am, 2 minutes to 4, and I guess 2 minutes to 1 for most of you. So thank you for being such a great audience. I hope that you learned some about, I hope you're feeling a little bit more confident about what you need to do to brand yourself as board ready. Even, you know, you very likely, as I said at the very beginning, Coach Kelly and I were talking about this, how so many of us are board ready. It's just a matter of communicating it, right? Getting out there, branding ourselves, and then networking. And so I hope that the 5-point sequence that we've shared with you and some of the insights about networking and other details help you feel a little bit more in control of this process that you're going to be driving. If you would like to join us in the boot camp, I'm going to add it one more time into the chat here. You can get more information if you go to coachkellyhuang.com/April 2025. In 1 month, you will be you know, we guarantee you will, we're not going to guarantee you a board position, but we guarantee that you will be branded board ready. And if you have any questions, by the way, please message us on LinkedIn. We're both there a lot.
Right. And let me just add, we are going to host a Q&A session on March 26th. So stay tuned on our LinkedIn. That'll also be coming up. So we'll do a lot more of this, the questions and answer. And so, yeah, if you have questions you'd like us to answer, that'd be the perfect time to do it. And then we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Bye.